Hello and welcome back to Sophie Loves 10. Today I thought I'd do a wrap-up. I read 10 books this month, one comic book as well, and I am reading other books as well. I might do let me know if you have any preference, but next week I think I will either do another haul video because Hay House let me take some more books. Yeah, there's a lot of books. And or a video on what I'm actually reading at the moment, because I've got quite a few books on the go. It happens every so often, but it's very weird. Like sometimes I'll just read one book, and that's it, one book, and sometimes I'll have several different books. So at the moment I've got a pile of several different types of books on my bedside table that I've just been sort of going through every so often. I think it's like as my mood changes, I've been changing what I want to read, and then I stop reading it, and then I start another one. So let me know if you want a video on either of those things next week. But for this week, I thought I would do my wrap up, as it's June next week, which is crazy, like super crazy. I have so much work to do before the actual summer, and I just want to do it. So I'm going to do that off this video. And also, if I slur a little bit, I'm really sorry, because I just had some cocktails with a friend. So, it happens. Why not? I work at the weekends, so during the week has to be the time when cocktails are drunk. And Revolution cocktails is definitely the answer. So, I thought I will start with the comic book that I read this month. I haven't really been reading a lot of comic books recently, and I feel like I need to rectify that, because I really do enjoy comic books. But maybe stop buying them, maybe go somewhere and borrow them, like the library, because it costs a lot of money. It's like $11.99 for one comic book, and I read it pretty quick, and I read this one pretty quick too. This is Paper Girls Volume 2, and this is by Brian K. Vaughan, who wrote Saga. And I need to catch up with Saga so bad. So bad. I'm doing the single papers, and I can't remember which one I'm up to, so that's going to be on my to-do list as well. But this one's really good. The first one is about some paper girls in the 80s, 1988, and they meet a monster. Things happen, and then this book is on from that. So I'm not going to tell you too much, just in case you haven't read the first one, but I would recommend it. It is getting interesting. Is it better than Saga? At the moment, for me, no. Saga definitely is one of my favourite comics of all time. But this is good. Like, the artwork's lovely, as I spoke about before. The colour palette is lovely as well. It's all different kinds of hues. I do like the colour palette a lot. I would recommend it it's possibly could be for a younger audience than Saga. Like younger readers could read this, whereas younger readers probably couldn't read Saga because of the adult themes. So that was good. The next thing I finished this month was Kieran Millwood Hargrave, The Island at the End of Everything. I believe I met Kieran at an event, and she wrote try and remember, The Girl of Ink and Stars, which I really enjoyed. So I thought I'd pick this one up purely because I enjoyed the other book. And this is about an island in the Philippines full of lepers, I think that's how you pronounce it, people suffering with leprosy. And what happens to them, and what happens to the dividing, because they have to try and stop the disease from spreading. And we focus on a mother and daughter, and it's quite a nice story. Read it pretty quickly. The font's pretty big. It is a YA book, but I would recommend, if you're interested in that kind of thing, her writing is very kind of magical. You do get sucked into this nice world, and it's you don't have to think about too much what you're reading with her writing, which I quite enjoy a lot, when you just want to read just to stop thinking of things in life and just have a nice time. Her writing really does that for you, so I enjoyed that. I think I gave it 3 stars, I believe, but everything's on Goodreads, and you can find me on Goodreads as well. It's the same name as my YouTube, I believe. The next one I finished was The Graces, and I've been meaning to read this for such a long time, and to be honest with you, I'm not even entirely sure why I bothered, because I heard like a lot of things about this, and I did like the story. Yeah, I liked the story. I liked the idea of it, although it's not particularly original, but then what is original anymore? Didn't like the ending very much. Didn't see it happening, and thought it could have a bit of a more powerful ending. So that is what I'm going with this. I think I also gave this 3 stars because I couldn't decide. I didn't want to give it 2 stars because the writing was good and the character development was pretty good, but the ending wasn't for me. Basically, that was it. The next thing I read, however, I did enjoy more. I think I gave this one 4 stars, and this is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. And if you like The Labyrinth, you will like this. The Labyrinth is in the film with David Bowie in it, not Labyrinth as in Pan's Labyrinth with the guy with the hands eye thing that gave me nightmares for ages when I was younger. This is really good. This is about a fairy tale. I believe it's set in Germany. I think the words are German, or that kind of area. But it's like German folklore about the Goblin King who takes a bride every year, and the Goblin King makes friends with our protagonist and then takes her sister. And then, I won't tell you anymore to ruin the story, but there's things that develop from that, and we've got quite a nice little love story. Again, like, the world building was so good, the story was so good, we got to near the end about the actual thing that happens without ruining anything, and I just wanted a little bit more meat because it wasn't quite satisfying enough. So perhaps number 2, there's another book I have seen, so maybe that will be a bit more satisfying. So stay tuned, and I'll probably have that one soon. Next one I finished pretty early on in the month, and I think I spoke about it in the wrap up for last month that I was nearly finishing it, and I did finish it within the month of May. It is Smoke by Dan Violetta. I'm not going to try and butcher that. Sorry, I will actually butcher that. And this is about smoke being something that we can see, so we can see people's sins. Like, if they're thinking about doing something sinful, we can see it on them because they actually physically smoke. So if someone kills someone, we can see their sin in a form of smoke, if that makes sense. So if anybody is thinking about doing something wrong, or is doing something wrong, we can see what's happening. And it's the development of that. It's been compared to Harry Potter and Philip Pullman. I can understand where Philip Pullman comes from with the whole dusting, but Harry Potter, I probably wouldn't say so, besides the fact that there's 2 boys and a girl in the story as the protagonists. But I did enjoy it. There's not really a lot. I think I gave it 4 stars because I thought it was an enjoyable book. It took me a while to read though, and to get into it, but once I was into the storyline, I did read it pretty quickly. So that is that one. The next one I actually listened to, and this one I really, really liked listening to it. It's The Improbability of Love by Hannah Rothschild. And in this, so some chapters in this book are from the painting, which is what the story is all about, this painting called The Improbability of Love. And the painting has like a really, really weird French accent in the audio on Audible. And I really enjoyed it when it was him talking. And I listened to this throughout my work placement whilst I was doing the more the jobs I could just do at my desk, not particularly concentrating kind of jobs. I was listening to this and I really nearly dropped it, and I really enjoyed it. The storyline, there's some nice stories that all kind of tie in together at the end. You could really see everything happening. Overall, I thought it was a really good book, and I did enjoy like all the storyline. Without ruining it, there's the storyline about the father and the daughter, to do with the painting. I particularly enjoyed and thought it was interesting how they've taken probably a true story somewhere about a Holocaust survivor and paintings. But read it to find out what I'm talking about, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But I generally did enjoy this quite a bit and might use it for my dissertation topic, because that is based around that kind of topic. The next thing I read, and I consumed this so quickly, I really enjoyed it, But another one that I didn't particularly like the ending. This keeps happening this month, where I was like reading this book so quickly, and the ending I was like, I'm not even sure. Like, I had to Google what people thought about the ending because I wasn't sure how I thought, because I was just kind of like, oh, is that it? But it's been made into a film soon, so that's why I've been seeing everyone on the underground reading this book. So I was like, I have that on my bookcase, so I'm going to read that now. And that is The Circle by David Eggers. And this is basically about a circle, which is a company where our protagonist goes to work in because her best friend works there. She's quite high up in the company, and the protagonist starts off not being so high up and has to work her way up. But it's almost like it's kind of like a Facebook, it's like a social media thing, but they start introducing things like cameras in places so people can see what the tide is like when they're surfing and things like that. It all kind of starts off as innocent things, but it very, very quickly gets quite dark, the theme. And we keep getting asked a question from an unknown guy until the very end. What happens when this circle closes? What happens when everything that they have been working towards actually happens? And that is quite scary because it's quite prolific in what's actually happening in our everyday lives now. All the different things. I mean, if technology went very, very wrong very quickly, something like this could probably happen. So yeah, I would really recommend it. And the film's coming out soon, so if you don't want to read it, it's not that big a book, but if you don't want to read it, watch the film. I will be watching it too, and I'll be doing a comparison video if you want me to as well, so let me know down below. The next thing, I really fancied some YA at this point through the month, so I picked up this. I have had it on my pile to read for a long time now, so I thought now's the time to pick it up. And this is Roseblood by A.G. Howard, which is a retelling of Phantom of the Opera by A.G. Howard, who wrote the retellings of Alice in Wonderland. So I knew it was going to be a good book to start off with anyway. But this was very interesting. We've got had quite a few different characters. We had the Phantom of the Opera was in it, but he wasn't the protagonist. It was really the Phantom of the Opera's kind of adopted son, I suppose, was our protagonist's love interest. And we had the protagonist, who's a singer who moved from America to go to wherever the Phantom of the Opera was residing at the time, that famous opera house. She went to become a student, but when she sang, bad things happened. So I don't really understand that. Like, why would you want to go to a boarding school where you know you'd be singing and bad things happen when you sing? And she was like, oh, I can't sing. Like, and it was if she hears like sudden tunes and stuff like that, she has to sing. Like, it's kind of something that has to happen because she feels she's so like strongly willed, or strongly has to do it. I don't understand why you put yourself in that situation, to be honest with you, but that's what I was thinking when I was reading the beginning of the book. However, as it goes on, the story does get deeper and very interesting, different kind of backstories all interlocked. The same sort of thing that A.G. Howard, I've read before her, is very, very good at doing. We had the Splintered series where we had like a really interesting love triangle happening and lots of different backstories, so I knew that that's what I was going to get with this one, and she didn't disappoint. So I quite enjoyed that. I think I gave this one 4 stars too. Then I have another one which really didn't disappoint, and I'm so excited. I think there's going to be a next one. Yes, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a next one, and I am ready for the next one. I am officially a fan of Sarah J. Maas, and this is A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I'm officially a fan of this universe, world. The first one, I was kind of like, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I'll read it. I've heard a lot about this author, Sarah J. Maas. I've never read any of her other books, so I have to give it a go. I ploughed on through. The second one, I was like, oh my god, like the adult themes in there. Sarah, she has such an amazing way of writing relationships, like intimate relationships. I don't understand where she gets it from. Like, as a creative writer, this is only something that I can strive for. She makes me feel. She made, like, crushed me a little bit inside. So we had the second one with Tamlin. If you don't know the series, you won't know what I'm talking about, so it's not even going to spoil. But Tamlin, I fell in love with him a little bit. This one, Rhys, well, towards the end, Rhys, and this one, I'm in love with him. Like, I don't know how she does it. She's so good at writing these stories. But we've got another, still to do with the war. Some things happen that's just amazing, like some plot changes. Basically, you have to read the other two to know what's happening in this one. Don't read this and go in blind with it, because you won't know what's happening at all. I had to like kind of recap what was happening from the other two to remember, so I could enjoy this story properly. But it's such a good book. I brought it into work. I was reading it on the tube for 2 hours every day, and that 700 odd page book went by pretty damn quick because I was enjoying it so much. So I really do recommend this. If you've read the other two, pick up this one. You will not be disappointed at all. And then the last book I read, which was actually for work, was she said, can you just have a look through this? And then I got invested and read the whole thing, as you do. And this is Gabrielle Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back. I don't know how I feel about this at all. It was one of the first kind of spirituality and wellbeing books I've read in a while, and a lot of it I feel like it was coincidence, and very, very nice coincidence for her, because things tend to work out quite nicely for her. However, some of it does have some good kind of ideas behind it, like the positive thinking alludes to positive things happening in your life. I like that, and I think if you do think positively, positive things will happen, but I'm a kind of negative person, so to read it I was kind of like, oh, okay, it happened for you, but it won't happen for anyone else, sort of thing. But it was quite nice to read. I think I might pick up one of her other books. I really can't remember everything in this book. I read it quite quickly, to be honest with you, because I was reading it to get ideas about the event that she's going to host very soon. Yeah, check out if you are interested in this kind of thing. See if there's any tickets for the event, and you can hear her talk. She's from America, so she's coming over to see everyone, which would be nice. I'm not going to that event, but have a look. So they are the 10 books that I read this month. I'm really happy with myself, and this month's not over yet, and I have quite a few books on the go at the moment, so perhaps I'll read more. I'm still doing the £1 a book in my jar, so £10 for this month. I'm really happy with that, because hopefully I'll just build up more and more, and then I'll have a lot of money for Christmas presents, which would be really nice. Let me know if you're doing that as well, because I think that's going to be it's such a good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. And also let me know what you want to see next. So if you want to see a book haul, or if you want to see what I'm reading at the moment, I might just film both and then filter them out over the next few weeks, and see how it goes. But I will see you next week. Let me know in the comments down below what you're reading, and what is your favourite book that you've been reading this month. And we'll speak down there as per usual. Bye everyone!